This is the BreadWinner Podcast, hosted by entrepreneur, influencer, and sales wolf, Tyler Harris, bringing you the insights from the most successful forward-thinking entrepreneurs and influencers, so that you can rise to the top and make more dough.
Now, let's get into the show.
What's up, everybody? This is Tyler Harris. I'm your host, the BreadWinner Podcast. Appreciate you joining us today. I apologize. My voice is almost gone, but it's hanging in there just a little bit, enough to get this podcast done. We are actually live here with my man Kory. I'm going to introduce him in just a second, but let me tell you kind of how this all played out. Just on Facebook and Instagram, I started seeing these photos and these videos pop up of this new gym in town. And it instantly caught my eye. I'm like, this is interesting. This is different. This is new. And it continually just started blowing me away. I was like, whoever's doing this stuff, like, they get it. Like, they understand marketing. They understand how to actually operate like the year we live in, which traditionally gyms don't, and traditionally most businesses don't. But just got intrigued, and then randomly, I think my wife is in like a book club with your sister, and I was asking, I'm like, man, I want to figure out who owns this gym, who's operating this gym, because I want to get them on the podcast because they're doing something right, and I love it. And she was like, are you serious? She's like, yeah, it's Carrie's brother. And I'm like, well, let's get them connected and let's do it. And so we're actually right down here in the gym as we speak and recording this live. So there's going to be a bunch of B-roll. Definitely make sure that you check out the Daily Bread vlog because we're going to feature a bunch of footage from inside the gym. And you got to see this place because it's absolutely next level. So I do want to bring Mr. Kory Keefer on the line and tell everybody, man, who you are, where you're from, and kind of what your main focus is right now in the world.
Yeah, what's up, guys? So I was born in Maryland. My dad's a pilot, so traveled a little bit growing up, but grew up mostly up in Seneca area, South Carolina, so the upstate, so keeping it in the 864. And always traveled since my dad was a pilot, kind of took that for granted growing up, but it's kind of full circle back now of just helping being cultured, which is, a main part of what we do here at the gym. But went to college at Charleston, graduated from there, didn't really know what the hell I wanted to do. Backpacked Europe for a couple months, came back, and my parents had a gym that I never really cared about, and they were like, hey, we're about to sell it. And I was like, look, before you sell it, let me get my hands dirty with it, and let's see, from janitor to payroll to anything I can do, let me just figure it out, and let me just experiment with it. And, worst case scenario, it goes to shit and you sell it anyways type of deal, And that first year we grew like 25%. Next year it grew 50, and it was like doubling. And we ended up buying like $1 million building, a huge 14,000 square foot building where we kind of rebranded everything there. And that was a couple years ago. And that was kind of really when I was like, this is, becoming something bigger than just a gym. Found this place down here in Greenville and was like, I want to bring some culture, music, fashion into a place, more of a platform where, you don't have to wear your headphones, where serendipity can happen, where you can just run into someone, start chatting it up, and everyone's like-minded. Next thing you know, it's a business partner, a new friend, or just anything in general, because I was talking to my homies, and I was like, yo, where do we meet people other than the bars? And they're like, I don't know. And I was like, you go to a new city, like, where do you meet people at? And like, that's not like weird. These like lame ass like meetup groups, you don't find anyone there, and no one wants to go to a bar by themselves. So I was like, it's cool to go to a gym by yourself. Let's make that a place where you can just walk in, like, you see some cool shit on the wall, you hear some cool tunes, and just start chatting it up, and see what happens from there. So really wanted to bring that into a place that just felt cool. That was like the biggest thing, because like what you were saying earlier, is all these gym owners or people that are doing these like more big corporate gyms, they don't have culture. No one cares. I would ask people, I'm like, yo, do you love the gym you go to? And they're like, it's a gym. I'm like, what? Let's bring some culture to that, and like something that you feel a part of and that you want to tell people about and you want to be involved in. And that kind of was the spark to it. So.
Dude, I'm so glad you just said culture, because that was the exact next thing I was going to ask you, because that's what it is. Like, you're building an incredible culture, and that's from probably the first, second, third post I saw on Instagram. It was like instantly what came in my head: culture. And it was something very new and edgy, and like you said, bringing fashion and music and all these things, which in our town of Greenville, like, I don't know if anybody's doing that. Like, not just any gym, but I don't know if any business period or any organization period is doing it and doing it the way that you're doing it. So where did that come from? This idea of building this culture and this idea of doing stuff that was so different. What was that transition like, taking, I guess, what started as a very traditional gym?
Yep.
And was it a transition into this type of lifestyle culture, or was it just like, hey, we're going to rebrand and then boom, completely different overnight?
So it was funny. We started slow with it, and I started just knocking walls down at the other gym and started just mixing things up. And I'm not an artist, but they were trying to charge us like $15,000 to paint the walls white. I was like, no, not a chance. Like, we're gonna see what we can do with it. And I started painting stuff, and people like started like, yo, that I like that wall a lot. And started painting. It was like, that brings good feelings. I was like, okay, cool, let's play on that. And then I started like just really like what I'm passionate about. Like, I love just art in general. I love fashion. I love music. And one thing I love about those is you can connect with people through music and not speak the same language, not know who they are, but you can be at a concert and vibe with someone, and it kind of transcends culture barriers or anything just by hearing a song. And same with fashion. You can walk by someone on the street and they have something cool. Like, I noticed you're wearing some Yeezys. Like, I could just see you walking on the street and be like, okay, I already like a little bit of part of him without talking to you, without saying anything about you. And same with fitness and things too. If you see someone in shape, you can connect with them on a level without speaking to them, without knowing who they are. And traveling to Europe a little bit, I was able to kind of like see that, and I was like meeting these people and kind of immersing myself through connections, and that's what the main connections were. And I was like, some boutique style gyms were doing this like Soul Cycle, have some culture to it, but it's just cycling. Like, I'm not going to do that 5 days a week, And all these like actual gyms were like corporate, which suck, It's just like there's nothing about it. It's very standard, basic. Like, you're pretty much putting equipment in like 4 walls of like an office space, and they're unmotivating. Like, you hate going there, and everyone looks at it like a second job. And I'm like, all right, let me look at the psychology of this. Is everyone loves to look forward to the weekend to go out. And I'm like, why do people like going out and drinking when they know they're going to wake up with a hangover, hate themselves, and be like, man, I'm never drinking again, and do it the same, again the next day, when they inherently know it's bad for them. But it's a universal known that like working out's good for you, but yet so little people do it because it's like a second job. It fucking sucks. So I was like, okay, let's make it where they look forward to coming here because you can meet people, because the atmosphere is dope, because you're going to hear new tracks, because you're going to see like cool artwork, where it makes it an experience where you look forward to it like you're going out, instead of like looking at it as like, oh shit, I got to go work out today, like a second job. So trying to really push that mindset behind it, is kind of where we're going.
And at the very least, it's just that little extra needed motivation when someone gets home from working all day and they're like, man, I need to go to the gym. And it's that crucial, fragile period of time, that like 20 minutes of like just got home, and you're either putting on gym clothes or you're going to the couch. And that one little bit of motivation that they need to actually get up and go do something. It's so funny, you talk about music, and it's insane how much music affects just the quality of a workout. Like, I cannot work out without my headphones on with music blasting, but I can't tell you, we travel 4 nights a week. I spent 238 nights in a hotel last year, and so I'm in random gyms all over the place all the time. And I can't tell you how many times I've been in there trying to do deadlifts, and I'm listening to like Genie in a Bottle, like Christina Aguilera, and like because my headphones died. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me! Like, this is absolutely torture. But creating that type of environment, ultimately, I guarantee, creates better performance and better results from the people that are coming.
And it's funny because, like, a lot of people don't know where to find good music. And it's funny, like, every time I'd go in my car, my buddies would be like, yo, where'd you find that track? Where's this? Where's that? So I was always about music. I'm listening to music constantly. Like you said, it puts you in different moods. And that's like one thing no one forgets to bring with them to the gym is their headphones. Everyone's like, man, if I forget my headphones, I don't even go to the gym. There's like memes about it and shit, and it's because these corporate a lot of these style gyms are afraid to piss off the crowd. They kind of go for everyone. So it's like, you're going to piss off the old people if you play that music, so that we can't play it. So in turn, you play just like bullshit like Taylor Swift that no one wants to listen to.
Spotify, like, not the premium edition, so you're getting like
ads, commercials and all that. And so it's like this like point where it's like, okay, you're not gonna piss anyone off, but everyone has to wear headphones because no one's gonna like really enjoy it. And I was like, going even to the bars, you don't even hear cool tracks. Like back in the day, like
true.
before my time even, like you used to go to the bar to hear new songs and stuff. So I'm really big into like going to concerts just for the vibe of it. And I was like, let me just start finding these like dope songs that the clubs are not even playing. So at least people come here, and even if they get a shitty workout, and they're like, I heard 3 new tracks that are like dope. I'm putting on my playlist, you know. And having it where if you don't have to wear headphones, you're more likely to talk to someone. You know, not creep on them like hitting on a girl, but like, hey, can I work in your set? And then while you're working in, be like, yeah, what do you do? And next thing you know, start chopping it up. And it could be, you know, like I said, a business partner or just a friend, you know, or it could be nothing. You keep it moving, you know. So that's what, you know, a big thing that we're a part of is that music aspect. And, you know, it's not just me, it's my team. Darwin helps me with music. I mean, we're playing music in here, and he's like, what do you think about this? Let's play this, or trying to have, you know, just that.
Do you guys have a playlist that people can have access to?
Yeah, so we're trying to get that a little bit more public so that people can start following our Spotify
Gary
playlist.
Vee right now has been killing it with that Monday to Monday playlist. And dude, he's been hacking that hip hop culture like no other right now. But the reality is the music culture, specifically hip hop culture, controls all of culture. It controls fashion. It controls everything. It's so funny, as you were talking, I was thinking, there was a couple weeks ago, TJ and I, we were headed to the gym, and I had lost my my cord for my Beats headphones that charges it, and they were dead, and I couldn't find it. And we pulled into the gym parking lot, and I was like, screw it. And I went to Target and bought a brand new pair of headphones just because I lost the cord for my headphones. I'm not going in here and listening to like, you know, Michael Bolton and try to play.
And it's funny because like my mom will come in here and she'd be like, did they just cuss? And I'm like, Mom, chill. Like, yes, they did, but like this is a part of it. Like, this is what we breed. And like that was one thing here is like I'm not trying to please everyone, you know. I tried to do that early, and I'm pissing people off. When you try to like please everyone in high school or whatever, like you're gonna piss people off, and you're gonna have no friends if you try to be everyone. So I was like, look, I want to be true to myself, and I want to be a part of a place that I would want to be a part of, you know, like have a gym that I would want to feel like it's my culture. And so we're really just niching our focus between like the 25 to 35 year old market, the people who care about working out, people who care about going out, who care about fashion, who care about music and that. And really, like, if you don't like it, it's cool. There's Anytime Fitness down the road. And I'll tell people other gyms, like, and I tell them straight up, I'm like, look, we got beer on tap here. We got, you know, the music's uncut and it's raw. So if that like offends you, wear headphones or don't come here. Like, you know, straight up, and being very transparent. And it's actually like, you know, I thought it was gonna like upset people, like telling them that, but they like appreciate that, I guess, authentic factor that I'm just, you know, being very just upfront, like, hey, this is what we're about. And a lot of young people do, like, I love it, man. Like, thank you. And they're like, I appreciate you seeing that, because one of the biggest like growing fitness markets is the 25 to 35 year old. It's that and the geriatrics, and I'm not dealing with that, you know, elderly crowd. So it's, you know, all these gyms are missing that, you know, and no one feels like they have a place where they can work out or they can really feel at home, and no one has a place you can really hang out. Like, where do you hang out besides the bars? Like, no one, coffee shops where everyone's like doing their computer shit on at coffee shops, so you don't really have a place to like get creative and like maybe talk to someone else or maybe kind of get something flowing. So trying to be that too.
That's so true. I mean, you're creating community, and you said the word niche. That's what I was thinking. It's no different than any other business with a niche. Like what we say all the time is, if you try to be all things to all people, you end up being nothing to no one. And that's what the most of these gyms do. And it's funny, as you were talking, I was thinking, the only gyms that you typically see that are doing anything to differentiate themselves in the marketplace are the Soul Cycles, the Barry boot camps, like the different ones that are very focused on one aspect of working out, not a full gym where you can do a little bit of everything. That's one thing I thought was interesting, because the only thing that I've seen is like some particular, what's the one down the road, the Cycle Bar. Cycle Bar, my wife went there, like she loves that. But you're not going to go there and lift weights.
Exactly, and a lot of those people have memberships here because they're like, I like cycling, but you can't really get a full workout. You burn a bunch of calories, but, you know, it's not that whole encompass thing. And like, you'll have like gyms that are meant for like meatheads, but they're all grungy and rusty weights, and it's like the true workout place. I'm like, all right, if you're like 40 or whatever, or if like the Venice beaches and stuff. It's like, all right, that's cool in some aspect, but I want to play this a little modern, a little edgy to it, but clean, that girls still want to come here, and that, you know, that market still is, you know, about it.
It's like if Kanye West created a gym, this would be that gym. So
we were talking about Kanye yesterday, actually.
So tell me, dude, he's killing it right now. Like, he's freaking. I got in this debate with somebody last night, like what he did yesterday. Like he's a freaking genius. Like talk about someone that's hacking culture and knows how to create attention. Good Lord. So tell me a little bit about Core 24. Like what does that mean? Where did that come from? And what has that kind of evolved into?
Yeah. So I mean, I have to give all the credits to my parents on that. I mean, my dad was pissed off at Gold's, and he's a pilot, so he wanted a gym. The 24 comes from because we used to be, or the gym in Seneca is 24 hours a day. That's where that came from. And my dad was just pissed off that they closed at like 7 o'clock, and they were just this and that. So he was like, screw you guys. And I remember in church when I was like in early high school, he was like, I'm just opening my own gym. And I was like, I like the design aspect, so we were sketching up like places. And then he opened it like a hobby for him and his friends, and then that grew like into a business that my parents, it kind of plateaued, and they were like, we have other jobs. This has been more than what we wanted, and that's kind of when I stepped in. I was like, because they were like, it's past the hobby phase, but it's past like the growth phase. So it was literally just plateauing. They had like bullshit managers in there that really weren't doing anything. Everyone was just in motion. But the whole, I guess, brand behind it, my parents like came up with the core, like, you know, the core is the center of your body. You need that for your whole, you know, well-being, and, you know, kind of being a little bit more hardcore than like the typical average gym. And then it was always a bull that they came up with, and then we rebranded the bull to, you know, this type of deal, and what's on my hat. You know, where it's more of like a clean, modern thing that you can put on anything, and that's like, I guess what we want, I guess the brand to, I guess, show is like, it's cool to be bold and just like, I guess more cool, like, because everyone's hitting these other aspects of like, you know, it's cool to be hipsters or it's cool to be this, but like, what happened to like, it's cool to like dress cool or something, you know, or just like be into fitness, but not being like,
it's cool to care.
Yeah, exactly. You know, because like everyone's, I don't know, it was just like a weird state where I didn't feel at home at anywhere I went to, like, and, you know, besides like I said, you know, going to the clubs, I didn't really feel like there was like cool vibes anywhere. And that was it. It was like all these places I would go to, the aesthetics were shit. The vibe was pretty bad. And not everywhere. You can't, I mean, I can't say that. But like most of the places, especially in the South, man, they're kind of behind on that. And people walk in and be like, I feel like this should be in LA. I feel like this should be in New York. Like, what is this doing here? And I'm like, man, places like this can be in Greenville. And finding people like you is like what I like about having this as a platform, as a place where, you know, people can meet other people and know, like, I never knew you existed here. We maybe never would have connected if this gym didn't make that bridge, you know, between the two. And like, I was talking to a guy from Atlanta who just moved here, and he was like, man, I don't know anyone. And I started meeting or introducing him to someone else. He started chatting it up, you know, and I hope he can broaden his network of people through this platform.
So give everybody, since this is a podcast, obviously we're featuring it on our daily vlog, but since it's a podcast, like, give everybody an idea. So we're talking about all these things and how edgy and the art. Like, give some examples of some stuff that we got in here that you're just not going to see.
When you walk in, we have these lights on both sides of the wall. Well, you walk in and you go immediately downstairs. So there's like 50 steps, and then we have these lights that go every like 3 feet. So these like 20-foot, like, I guess pretty much beam lights that are facing in, and then we have 200 pairs of shoes. That go above you that were actually super hard to hang. I thought that was gonna be easy as shit. That was definitely not. We built scaffolding, and my girlfriend was holding the scaffolding while I'm up on an A-frame ladder on the top, like hanging. In my mind, I was like, if I fall and like break my legs from hanging sneakers, how mad am I gonna be at myself? Like, what kind of phone call is that gonna be?
It was worth it.
Yeah. You walk in, and so there's the shoes, and the lights change colors, and then immediately you walk in. We have these poles with a bunch of like graffiti street art, like some Banksy vibes from there. We got beer on tap, pre-workout on tap. And having it where it's like, I guess, very open and very clean. We have, you know, like gray turf. You know, we try to take things and make it like, I guess, cooler but better and more efficient. And just, you know, we have gold or silver dumbbells, you know, with our logos posted on them. And there's nothing like, I guess we can't afford to have stuff that doesn't get used. So everything that we have is like very specific for people that actually work out. So there's not machines that don't get used. But like, there's a big triangle nano leaf right behind the cardio area. So we have all colored lights in the cardio area. So it's dim lit over there, but it's very like colorful, and there's like a big triangle looking thing over it. So just I wanted to have things that like are also Instagram appealing too. So people want to take pictures.
That's why I'm here.
Because like, you know, I was seeing these places and like, people don't really take pictures inside the gyms besides like a shirtless selfie, you know? And I was like, I was in LA actually, and there was lines of people to take a picture in front of this pink wall. And that was it. It's like the most Instagram place in LA, and it's like Paul something, and it's just a freaking pink wall, man. Like, and people were just lining up, taking it. I was like, and there was wings too.
I was about to say, is that the one you stand in front of the wing?
Yeah, and we have wings in the girls' bathroom, so we did that, and so many,
nice.
and like literally, and that's what we wanted to have is like places or images and like art that people were like, I want to take this because it's cool, not because I know Kory and I just want to help him out. Like people, like I want people to like come in here. Like we have people that's on the street that'll be like come in, like, hey, can we have like a photo shoot in your hallway? And I'm like, yes, dude, like, like let's do it, you know, just because it has that like cool vibe, and it's like I guess a surprise to see it in Greenville too.
Yeah.
People walk by and like, what? And you know, having it where, like I said, I want people to want to take it, so it's the authentic sharing, the more organic sharing, you know, instead of like, hey, like I'll give you a free month if you post this, you know.
I was just about to say, every other gym, it's all about the discount. Like, hey, bring your friend and 10 days for $10 and whatever. Bring it in. It's all based on this. It's what's the word? Like commoditizing it. Basically, it's like the only way to bring someone in that wouldn't normally come in is through some of a discount.
And it's funny because like everyone wants to go to that way, and it's sometimes hard to like not think of that, but if you do that, then people will not do it unless you give them something.
Absolutely.
So if I'm like, if you post this, I'll give you $10. Well, you're not going to post it unless I give you $10 every time you post it, type of deal. And I get like influencers and I get all that, but we're trying to do it a little more authentic. So it's like you want to do it because you want to do it, not because I'm like there's an incentive behind it.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's showing a little bit more through social media. We're getting a lot of like fake shit out there, and I think people are becoming smarter and starting to weave through that, you know, a little bit more, you know. So when I want people to see it and be like, this is authentic, this is real shit, and not like some paid thing or anything that like they're doing it because he asked them to, or there's some other reason behind it, you know.
You're preaching to the choir, and so I travel a whole lot, and so this is my first time to be able to come down here, and I told him, I was like, hey man, let's film a podcast, let's record a podcast. I said, but I also want to sign up for a membership. And in my head, I was literally hoping, I was like, I hope it's expensive. I'm like, because I hope they're charging a premium, because on the opposite side of the discounting stuff, if you charge a premium, the people will appreciate it and they'll value it.
Yeah.
And I mean, the traditional gym model is how many members can we have that never come?
Exactly. That's Planet Fitness.
Yeah, well, that's everything. Well, and that's how they're able to charge $9 or whatever. But that's always the mentality is we want to have as many people to sign up, and then we never want to see them again as long as they pay monthly. But when you're creating a culture and a community, it's actually about like bring people together so that people actually get to know each other, and lo and behold, get in shape. That's nice. Nice,
exactly.
Like, side effect of it. So what does it look like 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? Is the plan just more locations? Is the plan, I mean, I'm assuming there's apparel probably coming, if not already here. I see you wearing the hat, and I've seen shirts. Like, where do you see you taking the brand? Yeah,
it's funny. So we've thought about that, I guess, more recently now, since this is, you know, becoming a bigger thing here. And I don't want to think too much about it and lose sight of this gym, and sometimes it's hard to, you know, balance those two. But, you know, I want to take over and flip the gym industry on its head and show that there can be cool aspects of it, because, you know, a lot of people are just like, I don't want to be a meathead, or I don't want to do this. And I want to give, like I said, that platform where you can integrate more things into a gym and it not just be like shirtless pictures or whatever. And so I want to keep opening gyms because I'm confident enough with our product. We can go to any gym, any city, and I can compete. And I am confident enough with my work ethic and how much that, you know, we really like care about, I guess, making a movement in the culture that I can compete with Equinox and Golds, and, you know, even shout out Bradley Martin's gym, because I've been compared to that one a bunch out in LA, and I'll go right beside him, and I have no problem being able to compete with that. But I think if it leads into some type of apparel, because I really like fashion, I would love to get into that. That's kind of getting saturated now. It's getting. I mean, it's like the lowest barrier to entry for any person that wants to put entrepreneur on their Instagram. It's funny, man. I'll get daily people coming up and want to like collab with us because they started a t-shirt company, but they call it, you know, they call it some brand. So exactly. So I'm really like looking to maybe like even like art, like in-house making our stuff or something. I want to get really creative with it, but, you know, I don't want to lose sight of focusing, like you said earlier, on one thing and being the most badass, dope gym that anyone's ever walked into. Don't you start doing like, I'm just like thinking out loud,
But so we were in New York this weekend. We went into Nike Soho, and the whole reason was because the day before I saw this dude. He had some fresh. They were all white Vapor Max, and they did this like custom marbleized like dipping on them. And I was like, where in the world did you get these? And he was like, they're doing it in Nike Soho. 2 more days. I was like, oh my God, I'm there. So I got there, and they had this whole setup. You know, you choose your shoe. It was like a Vapor Max, like the new 270s, or like an Air Max 90, all white.
Yeah.
And you pick. There was like 15 colors. You pick which colors, and then they like dip it and like marbleize this pattern, and they ship it to you in like 2 weeks. It literally didn't look like just like this, like the setting that it was in. Like you could have where you just set up like a screen print shop like in here, where you're literally like printing on demand. Like you have a bunch of the photos of like all the different designs. You're like, oh, you want a shirt? Cool, get your workout in. And you have somebody back here like freaking screen printing. They hanging it up and like, oh, by the way, here's your shirt.
Yeah.
Like, you can do so much like cool stuff that way. Because the big thing with apparel is that always scared me looking at apparel was inventory. Like you're buying a bunch of inventory at sizes, and all of a sudden now you got a garage full of boxes of like extra mediums that you can't sell to anyone that you're having to give at a discount.
And our apparel that we've done recently has always been small quantities.
Yeah.
And 2 reasons is because I don't want a back inventory of a bunch of that. But another reason is like I don't like having the same shit that everyone else has. Yeah. So it's like I don't want to make more than 20 or 30 or 50 of that one thing, because I don't want you walking around and seeing 5 people being like, man, that's the same shirt, that's the same hat. You know, and that's always been me, whether it's been, you know, growing up or anything, and not has to be more expensive. I just always have wanted to have something unique that not everyone can have. You know, and that, I guess, aspect of it is like, we're only going to make a certain amount of shirts. So if you have it, you know, you're one of 25 people that have it. So you're not going to see it all over the place. And that's, like I said, that's been a teetering thing. I was like, do we go into that right now, or do we just keep focusing on being the best possible badass cultured gym around? You know, because I don't want to lose sight on what I know we're best at, and it could, you know, create something, or you know, it could like, you know, be a distraction. So that's a funny thing that we've been playing around with, and what I guess could be our next thing. Because I mean, with that, you can obviously create other sales streams, because you can sell that anywhere, especially online. But with a gym, you have to physically be here or in the area. I can't sell a gym membership to someone in LA, you know, for here. Maybe I could, but I have never done that, so I don't know if it's possible.
So before we get done here, I do want to ask one tactical question. So looking back, going from the first gym, this evolution into what it has become now, what's one thing through that process that you quit doing that you think helped you to succeed, or helped you to keep evolving fast? What's one thing that you quit doing?
I quit caring about going out, I think, was a big thing. I quit that. I really it hit me one night. It was when that song like Made It From the Bottom, or Now We're Here, or some bullshit.
Drake.
And I was in the club with some like people that were alright, and it clicked. I was like, all these people I'm around have not made it here, and their hands are in the air like, yeah, we made it. And I was like, no, motherfuckers, none of you have made it. And like maybe a couple, maybe like 2, but I was like, I haven't either. I was like, what am I doing? Like, am I just gonna like keep just like doing this shit every night or every weekend, just like going out, and like deep down I was like, it caused like relationship problems, because like I didn't want to go out with them, and I was like, and they're like, what's going on? And I was like, I'm trying to really make something for myself, and I'm okay with sacrificing that for now. So that was like a big thing that like clicked, where, you know, I enjoy having a good time. I love having a good time, but I was like, this is doing nothing for me. You know, like I love going to the clubs, but like this is like, I could be doing way more things. And it was just like, I guess that was a big turning point where I was just like, let's keep it moving in a different aspect of it, you know.
I love that answer, man. It's almost like you're like starting from the bottom, now we're here, but we're still hanging out here. Exactly. We're still hanging out like we're here with these here people. And until you start hanging out here where you are, you're not going to go way up above. And for me, I was the same way. Like I gave this speech last night, this keynote at this association event, and I was like, hey, who wants to have better work-life balance? Raise your hand, show of hands, who wants to have work-life balance? Of course, everybody shoots their hands up. I'm like, well, I just don't believe it exists. And the reality is that truly successful people only balance with addition, not subtraction, because everyone wants to talk about work-life balance in regards to taking away from something, and it's always taken away from work. Like you don't ever hear somebody going, man, dude, I've been going so hard at the gym this last quarter. I've been so focused on my family. You know, the next few months, I think I'm going to take it easy on the family and gym and start working more. Then that's never the conversation. It's always, man, I really need to be at home more. I'm going to have to start working a little less. Well, do you realize that you can freaking balance a scale by, taking away, but you can also add to, and you can balance it. So that's what we always talk about. We're like, you need to be home more, you need to work out more. Like, great, be home more, work out more. It doesn't mean you need to work less.
Yep.
It may mean you need to go out less, which is what you did. It may mean you need to sleep less, which is what we do.
Yep.
And that'll balance it, and that's the way that you level up in life. And that's what I did like 4 months ago. Things have been like progressing so fast in my life and on this upward trajectory, and I started like literally auditing every area of my life. And I was like, what are the areas that pose any potential risk or any just weaknesses? And I literally was like, drinking. I'm like, done.
Yeah.
4 months ago. Hadn't had a sip of alcohol in 4 months, maybe a little over 4 months now. And it was simply looking at it like a business decision. I was like, I have all of these aspirations, all these things I'm trying to get accomplished. That's the one thing, at the very least, will slow me down, but could end it all.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, if you do something stupid. So it's just like, done. And then just keep moving. And it's just the majority of people aren't willing to take that leap and get out of that scene, like you said, or take that leap and to quit doing something that our whole motto, and one of the things that I live by, is if you seek pleasure, the world will deliver you pain. If you seek pain, if you seek discomfort, the world will deliver you pleasure. So we try to put ourselves in the most uncomfortable, and that, whether that being workout, it's no different than workout. Like if you seek discomfort in the gym, you're going to be delivered with gains, with results. Yep. If you just seek pleasure, if you come in here just to have a good time, you just come in here and do stuff that just doesn't really push you, you're not going to get anything from it. Exactly. And ultimately it's going to end in something negative. Yeah. And so that's just everything that we try to do with our lives. So, hey man, where can everybody find you online? Yeah, so we're all about content creation right now. So IG is where the biggest, place you can find us. So on the gram, it's at core24gbl, and you can pretty much find everything through there. Our website is core24gbl.com. That's where we're at, and that's where. And where can I find you? It's Kory Keefer. That's KoryKeefer. Guys, I would highly recommend you follow both, but especially. You may be thinking like, oh, well, I live in South Dakota. Like, why would I follow a gym in Greenville, South Carolina? I promise you, if you follow this gym, you will be inspired because you'll see things that are new. You'll see things that you're like, man, that's sick. Or you'll just get ideas. You'll be inspired by what they're doing because the content, at the very least, is just great to look at. Yeah. But the stuff that they're putting out, the videos that they're putting out, this next level on the marketing. And like I said, that's what brought me here today. I was like, man, if we have a free couple of hours in the afternoon, I've been meaning to get by here and wanted to film this podcast and get some footage inside here and finally get a workout in. And to piggyback on that is I can't take credit for the content. So my guy's Darwin, he's my main photographer. Have to give him a shout out, and then Juan too. So those are the guys that are really like making the content. So they're on our Instagram. So check those guys out too, because there's what's behind the scenes actually making the stuff. I'm just hitting it up there. The cool thing about that though is like someone may say that, and they say that in like well, it's not me, it's this, but it's the fact that you had the audacity to have a gym that has a photographer, a videographer. Like that's not normal. Like the Anytime Fitness down the road, like the Gold's Gym down the road, they don't have a videographer like creating like sick like ASAP music videos based on like outdoor training. Like that's what we're talking about when we talk about this fat, like this crazy forward thinking that just isn't happening. My dad calls me up and he's like, why do you have a photographer? Why are you paying a photographer full time on staff? And I'm like, look, that's his mindset is what most of the gyms have, where it's like, that doesn't create, revenue immediately. Why do we have that? But, looking at it from our perspective is we have to have that. Trust me, I completely understand. Yeah. I have a grown man that travels with me 24/7 with a camera. And we are not short of conversations of why in the world are you doing this in Greenville, South Carolina. Now, when we were in New York, you see a little bit more of it, but where we are, it's like this is very strange. And it is strange, but it's the best thing I've ever done to elevate my branding and elevate my personal brand and the content that we're putting out, which is awesome. So, man, I appreciate the time. I know you got a lot going on in here. I can't wait to hopefully try to get a workout in this evening here. And, man, appreciate everything that you're doing. Make sure that you go check it out. It's at Core24 GVL and at Kory Keefer. Check them out. And with that, this is the BreadWinner Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Harris, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to the BreadWinner Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and leave a rating on iTunes. For a chance to be on the show, send a screenshot of your iTunes rating to @TylerHarris page on Instagram, where he'll pick one person every single week. See you next time on the BreadWinner Podcast.